So recently I asked you guys your honest opinions on the Boruto anime, because lately it has been fucking flames. It's been so fucking fire, man. I love it. I'm kidding. I've not been watching. Now, before you guys comment saying,
oh, but you can't have an opinion if you've not watched the last 3 episodes, which are actual vital for the final plot, by the way.
Because today I want to talk exactly why I've not actually been watching the anime lately. And yes, I do have a cold. That's why I sound like a fucking dumbass. So you guys can't use that on me either, alright? I know I sound like a fucking... Oh, you sound exactly how I would imagine a Boruto hater would sound. I can't help it, okay? I'm not the hater, it's my fucking sinuses. Anyway, like I said, I asked you guys on Twitter, which by the way, you can follow me there. But I asked you guys what your honest opinions on the Boruto anime are. And today I want to go through some of them, see who I agree with and those who I personally don't, and see if they've got a different interpretation on the anime than me that may change my mind. Right, so we're going to start with this point from Matthew Diaz. It is the full Boruto story. Without it, the manga story would be lackluster. And we've got a great response from Dead Baller, who says that, to be fair, for some people, it's these arcs that make the franchise lackluster, which straight away is a great conversation for debate. The Boruto anime is the full story. I think we can all agree there. And I have made videos in the past where I say the anime is better than the manga. And I still do stick by that opinion. I do think that a lot of the times, especially when the anime actually adapts the manga content, it makes it 10 times better. I mean, just look at the entire Ishiki/Kawaki arc. It began through the Kara actuation arc, which, albeit I don't think was anything incredible. You know, I wasn't watching that arc and I didn't sit back at the end of it and go, holy shit, what a masterpiece. I need to start rewatching that immediately. But like there was none of that, let's be honest. However, by the Boruto anime's standards, the Kara actuation arc was fantastic. And honestly, the story could benefit from more arcs like that. But that did eventually lead into the Ishiki arc, which was pretty much all manga content. However, they added in extra scenes and elaborated on things that weren't elaborated upon much in the manga, such as the aftermath of Kuruma's death and things like that, and they made Kuruma's death a bajillion times better, because in the manga, that was fucking dog shit. However, then you look back at some of the other arcs, and for me, the only anime canon or anime only arcs, in my opinion, that are actually pretty good by the Boruto anime standards are the Mitsuki arc, the Kara actuation arc, and I think that's it. There are a lot of arcs just thrown in there which are just not it. And a lot of the times I've said this, and you guys I'm sure have definitely said it as well, we try and kid ourselves and say, yeah, but in the bigger picture it'll be more important. But then you look back and you think to yourself, the Remen arc, it's been what, a year since we've had that? Over a year? I'm looking back, I'm looking back on it, and it's still just as bad as I remember. And you can go even further back as well, like the Byakuya gang or whatever it was called. How long ago was that now? In fact, let me have a look. So the Byakuya gang arc started in episode 43. That was the 31st of January 2018. That's over 4 years ago. 4 years. And looking back on it, okay, it's really not that vital. Anyway, I'm blabbering on. Let's have a look at what some other people have to say. Pico or something says, the anime wouldn't be nearly as good if it were seasonal or stuck to the main manga storyline. Sure, the hype moments are nice, but characters like Mitsuki, Sarada and Sumire wouldn't have nearly as much character as they do now. And I think criticisms like the anime is only good when Naruto and Sasuke are on the screen would be much more prevalent, because it would have more validity to it, because they'd be in most of the major battles in the series. I actually do agree with this. I don't think Boruto going seasonal per se is the answer, because if that was to be the case and they just stuck to the manga, it would just create its own new problems, the same problems that the manga has. And it's like I said, I think that when the anime adapts the manga, it does a better job. However, if they was to go seasonal and still just do things like the character actuation arc leading into the manga arc, that is perfect. I don't think you need all these little transitional arcs in between. You don't need them. Like, I'm sure if I scroll through some of these now, I'll be able to see someone making a point which I'm about to disagree with. So here we go. Christopher Lane says, the Boruto anime is great. It fleshes out characters we do not see in the manga, makes the manga story feel more rich in texture. The main point I want to focus on here is the fact that it fleshes out characters. Now, I do agree on this to a certain extent. Again, like I said, I've made videos on this in the past. Characters like Mitsuki and Sarada and Sumire are all infinitely better in the anime because, well, they're actual characters. In the manga, Sarada does what? Nothing. She's actually fan service, which is fucking weird. Ikimoto, you've got some problem there. Mitsuki does nothing. The most important thing Mitsuki ever did in the manga was talk to Sasuke on a hospital roof and tell him that Boruto is a vessel or something. Like, that's what his character is. It's literally non-existent. And Sumire is just a Hinata clone in the manga, but like worse. Her dialogue is literally her just sat there going, oh, That's her character in the manga. So yes, those characters in the anime are so much better. Sarada is a badass. Mitsuki has layers to him and is a badass. Sumire had an entire backstory linked with Danzo and the Otsutsuki and all this great stuff, and it was fantastic, and I loved every single minute of it. Characters like Mugano, who I don't even think spoke in the manga, got turned into one of the fan base's favourite characters in the anime. But then there's also characters like Metal Lee and Iwabe and the Anbu guy, and characters like that who are just, what fleshing out has been done to Iwabe. Like, they've had the most bare bones of minuscule attention that it's just, what is the point? So Tsubaki is a great example. So she's introduced into the anime as an exchange student from some faraway samurai land, village, whatever. And she comes to Konoha to learn so that she can go back to her land and she wants to become a leader or something like that, right? So she comes into the anime, she says, I'm going to learn from Konoha. Then in the Chunin exam arc part 2 after Ishiki, she receives a letter saying, I can go back, I've been granted the leadership role or whatever. Her goal there has been achieved, right? There's character development. She can go back to her village now that she's learnt, supposedly, and fulfill her goal. And then at the end of the Chunin exam arc, when she loses to Denki, she decides, actually, no, I've not learnt enough. I can't go back to my village yet. I need to stay here and learn more. It's fake character development, people. They create scenarios for these side characters in the anime that they then build on to make it feel like they're progressing, to then revert somewhat back to the beginning. So a lot of this progress that characters go through in the anime for the side characters, it's so minuscule that it's almost pointless. They take 2 steps forward and then 1 step back every 50 episodes. And also, there's a reason we don't see them in the manga. We all agree that the manga is the blueprint of the story. If Iwabe, Metal Lee, and honestly, even Denki, although I do think Denki will be a little bit more important, if these characters aren't important enough to be in the manga in the first place, why should I care? If they're not taking up a vital position in the blueprint of the story, why are they suddenly going to take up a vital position in the anime's version of the story? Maybe that's an unpopular opinion, but I don't know. There's another point here from Dead Baller saying that having the manga be monthly gives them a cop-out to call every episode canon. Now, I know there's the quote from Ikimoto, I think it is, a few years ago, where it's like, anime original episodes, anime canon episodes. That's the term everyone uses. If you say filler, you will get witch hunted by the community, okay? Even though at the end of the day, anime canon is just a fancy word for it. But it goes back to my problem, which Crilly here has said that anime canon is a good concept, but needs to be utilised well to bring the best out of it. There are good anime canons, and some not so good ones, which is unfortunate. And like I said, I think the Kara actuation arc is the prime example of a good anime canon arc, even if it wasn't phenomenal. And like I said, I personally enjoyed the Mitsuki arc, even though I know some people despise that one as well. I actually think the Sumire arc right at the very beginning is okay. And then you got the time travel arc, which some people love, and I appreciate the concept. Personally, I think the time travel arc was fucking dreadful and ruined a lot of the authenticity that I saw in the actual anime. I think that was the arc which made me realise, nah, this ain't it. This anime canon stuff is just a fancy word for filler. Still to this day, in the back of my mind, that arc, it doesn't exist. Everything from Urashiki, the power scaling, the ability time travel just came and just went. Like, it's never been brought up in the story since. This is time travel we're talking about, and no one seemed to care after it was finished. Not once has ever really been mentioned upon or built further upon. So if the actual characters in the story don't care that literal time travel exists, then why should I? I do want to look at a positive note though. So Chocho Supremacy says, it's honestly phenomenal for me. It builds upon the misfortunes of the world outside the 5 great nations, like Pain said, and the new generation have to see it firsthand and progress from it, especially now that Naruto is achieving peace and people are fighting against it. Now, what you said there would sell me on anime canon arcs. Like if someone said, this is what the Boruto anime covers. It covers things outside the manga, such as what's going on outside the 5 great nations, and builds upon Pain's philosophy, and explores the details of how Naruto is still actually building upon his dream. However, that's not the full case in my opinion. Like we keep saying it keeps building upon the misfortunes of the world, but I don't think it does. It brings up a misfortune to create a story around it, and then when that story's done, they just kind of go, okay, well that was great, let's grab a new one. Like, I don't think, if you imagine a usual story and plotline, you got a start, you got the end, you got the middle, there's a line it follows, a track it follows, and that's the plot. The Boruto anime doesn't feel like it's following the plot. I don't know how to properly put my words into video. I think rather than Boruto following the plot, it creates another plot, and then another plot which isn't connected, and then another plot, and then another plot. And occasionally, these other plots cross with the plot. And those are the good arcs. But these other ones where they're just kind of off and in the distance, not overlapping with the actual plot line, but they're just sort of off in the distance, like the Lemon arc or the Remen arc, whatever it is, and the Byakuya Gang arc. Arcs like that, they're just kind of, they're optional viewing, in my opinion. This brings me back to my original point. Like I said, I've not been watching the recent episodes of the Boruto anime. I watched the first episode of this Hidden Mist arc, because I thought, okay, this is cool, we're going back to the Mist Village. I haven't seen any since. I've seen people complaining, and I know that currently the Boruto anime, amongst many of the fan base, is not in a good position. A lot of my friends online, who I've spent years talking to, and have followed the Boruto anime almost religiously, even they themselves now say, nah, fuck this. At the end of the day, I don't really know what the point of this video was. Anyway, when the Boruto anime seemingly picks back up, I will watch it, probably. I don't know. You guys are in charge of telling me when it gets good, though. But I know there's going to be people coming to, well, it's always fucking good, you fucking moron. Get out of here.